to try to get Tainted Azazel yet again. We'll do our best. And hold on, I have some messages on the old Discord. I got Dan sending me investment advice now. We're both I was gonna say balls deep in Bogle. But it's not, because that's a real person. That's not the way I want to phrase it. Alright, sorry YouTube, sorry. Okay, yeah, so we got Azazel, but don't take Lil Baggy this time. That's the ticket. Okay, I don't mind Undefined. I always knew NL was a boglehead. You know, I read all the books on stock picking, and I think I understand it. I think if you have an infinite amount of time, you could do a great job with it, maybe. But if you don't have an infinite amount of time, it seems like you should just really buy, you know, like VTI and maybe some bonds, and then, you know, just go, like, see your family instead of looking at balance sheets all the time. Anyway, that's my investment bit for today. My 2 cents. It's a little different in Canada, because we have, like, different versions of the Vanguard funds and stuff like that, but... Next bit. Yo, that dude. Hiko. I've never seen it called a cross rock before. That's you know, we could use that. No long, because tinted and tainted I get confused. Now we could be, you know, we could change up our vernacular a little bit. I bought heavily into an esports gambling IPO later this week. I believe in the Twitch chat gambling addiction. Oh no. Is that I don't follow the like new issues and stuff like that, but is that I've been seeing all this post about like this company called Skills? Is that what it is? I'm like in the exact opposite boat. Like look, you're gonna turn me into like a bad guy here. I have nothing against esports, but I don't believe in them as like a business. And I could be wrong, which is I'm not like anti-esports. I'm just staying away. I was just thinking about whether I was gonna do alt path. So like sports gambling, I don't buy individual stocks really anymore. But I believe in that. I believe it, and you know, America and Canada are getting more permissive about allowing sports gambling. Like I believe in those 100%. But I've seen some companies that are like, we're gonna make it so you can like, you know, bet real money on the Overwatch League, and I'm like 8 people are gonna do that. That's just, again, I don't consider this financial advice. That's just in my head. I can't imagine a world where people are like, I put $10,000 on Team Dignitas, but I have been wrong about a great many things before. But I will say, on the flip side, I did buy into an ETF, which is just a fund that tracks a sector, that follows the gaming industry. And my entire philosophy, like the only investment thesis and evidence I have for it is whenever I accidentally get to the front page of Reddit being logged out, 90% of the posts I see are about mobile gacha games. And I'm like, these people, they're putting their life savings into this stuff. And I guess I want a slice. Some companies have a ticker for who's gonna win in Space Jam 2. That's pretty sick. What's going on with your active? I forgot to use it. That's about it. Yeah, I feel like I would put the smart money on LeBron. But could you imagine? Oh, hello, Simvicta, by the way. Hello. Can you imagine if you were in the theater watching Space Jam 2 and it appeared that the Monstars were gonna win and there was like some sweaty middle-aged guy behind you being like, no! I bet on, you know, I thought Wreck-It Ralph was gonna hit 6 3-pointers this game. He's at 4. I'm not even covering the spread right now. That is great. The idea of somebody gambling on the outcome of a movie. This is how I win. We could hold the fool, but who freaking cares, man? Uncut Jams. It's perfect. It's perfect. No, thank you. I had the over on Lola Bunny free throws. That's a good bet. You know she's got solid fundamentals. Lola Bunny probably is going to get the most assists on the team. That's my take. Excuse me. She's got hops. You appear to be confused with Zootopia. Very different movie. Take a range out. Use the F in item. We don't say the F word here, okay? The only F word we say here is friendship and fixed income. Occasionally you'll hear me say frick, but rest assured I hit confessional up afterwards. I have a lot of questions about confessional, okay? Because we've been through this a few times. I know essentially nothing about any organized religion, okay? If you confess to a murder to your priest in confession, is the priest obligated to report that to the cops? Just like thought experiments here. He's obligated. Really? So I like the same thing. Like, what about like if you confess a murder to like a therapist or like your lawyer or something like that, right? There's attorney-client privilege and like doctor-client privilege, doctor-patient confidentiality, I should say. Therapist would have to report it. Lawyer wouldn't. I'm not trying to, like, you know, I don't have anything to get off my chest. I'm just saying, like, where do they exist in the therapist versus lawyer versus priest continuum, right? Now, okay. If a CEO of a company gives insider information to a priest, can the priest trade on the information without it being insider trading? What if the inside information is that the CEO had killed their competitor? You see what I'm getting at here? I think we found a loophole. Drop trinket. Thank you. Thank you. So am I there's no priest client privilege. Is that correct? There is? There's clergy privilege. Priests are not supposed to report crimes. What do you mean when you say supposed to? Like in the Bible, they're like, you don't have to? Or like the law is like, you don't have to? Or is the law like, you can't? Which is another thing altogether. Dude, we're freaking going. We're going all the way on this one. Okay, hold on. The R key is insane. This is going to be an absurd run. Oh, I can't do alt path. I could do alt path on the next one. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do, okay? We're gonna go the back way. We're gonna go home. We're gonna unlock Tainted Azazel. We're gonna use the R key, and then we're gonna go back down the alt path. That's the ticket. So we'll be holding this spacebar item for a long time. Prepare yourself. And we're going home on this one, so this is fine. Yes, okay, okay. They're held to the same standards as doctors. See, that's why, like, I'm not saying they shouldn't be. I mean, it seems like, you know, being in an industry where you rely on people disclosing their private sins, like, you would have to have some kind of protection as the person receiving those, legally speaking. I mean, it's an industry. You can be mad if you want. He's not doing it for free. If he's doing it for free, I'd be even more freaked out. You get some good gossip, I guess. Our key doesn't work in-home? Edmund, come on, man. Like... Okay. Well, we can't go alt path. So, I mean, we could do home last. The only thing is, like, you know, why would we do home last? Because the only other thing we can do is the alt path. Can we do... No, you can't do alt path and then go home. I don't know, man. I think we'll stick with the greed strat. We'll use it after mom. And just get a super strong run. We can't really do alt path first. We don't have a... we didn't get the first knife piece. Do it anyway. That's a spirit. If you get mom's knife or sharp key, you can do the alt path. Okay. Oh, okay. Now we're talking. If you get mom's key, mom's knife, I should say, or the alt path. Mom's knife does not work. Okay. You know what? We're going back to the priest discussion. Sharp key. Sharp key. Okay. Could happen. After using R key, dad's note won't spawn either? That can't be true. I disbelieve that part. The wiki is wrong. The limit does not exist. Priests are not supposed to snitch. Alright. Because, I mean, honestly, like, first off, there's, like, the moral problem. Like, if somebody confessed to a crime. I guess you're not the law, right? Like, on a citizen level, you might feel like you have an obligation to, like, report it. But you're also, like, you know, you're not a cop. You're just there to, like, take after their soul, right? Like, shepherd their soul to whatever salvation they can get. But then, I also feel like that'd be really annoying. Like, that'd be an annoying part of being a priest if they didn't have that, right? Like, if they were, if somebody was like, they confessed, like, oh, I stole, like, $10,000 from my place of work or something like that, the priest is like, oh, great. Now, after work, I gotta go down to the police station. It's probably gonna take me, you know, hours and hours to go report this to the cops, and then they're gonna be like, you got any proof? And I'll be like, source, dude, just trust me, she said it in the confession booth. Anyway, just an interesting kind of industry to me. What if the priest was also a cop? It's a good question. Seems like kind of a conflict of interest, right? Although, before the cop murdered someone, they could at least give them their last rites to ensure that they go to heaven. So that would, you know, iron out one of the kind of institutional inefficiencies there, I suppose. Priest cop. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Are they doing, like, virtual confessions now? Because of COVID? Like, do you have to call in and, like, you know, scramble your name or put your name in wingdings or something? Hello, father. They could see, like, your family photos behind you and stuff like that. Your kids are like running around in the background. James? Is that you? No. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Send it. Send it? Yeah. So we're gonna fight Mom, and then we're gonna use R. And we're gonna try to use R on the boss rush. Yeah, okay, he's got it. Okay, he's got it all figured out, man. Don't priests generally know who's confessing? Come on, man. There's a wide lattice between one booth and the other. How could they possibly know? There's like a little checkerboard of pine. How could they possibly figure it out? It's like Superman's secret identity. As soon as you put glasses on him, he's invisible. Confession's pretty wild. I've never, like, the only, on an individual level, the only religious experience I have, there's like a few. I was baptized when I was too young to remember and never confirmed. So like, as far as I understand it, like God's pretty ticked off because my soul's still like on the books, right? Like it's still in accounts receivable. The funds have not settled yet. And then I got tricked into going to Bible camp for like a few days when I was in maybe 7th grade. Because I think my parents just wanted me like out of the house for a bit over summer vacation. And my neighbor who had a kid the same age was like, oh yeah, he loves camp. So like I went to camp and then all of a sudden, you know, you watch George of the Jungle in the morning and then they start sitting down and talking to you about like, you know, Cain and Abel and stuff like that. And you're like, wait a minute. This doesn't seem like a normal summer camp. And yeah, it's basically just daycare. I'm trying to think of what else. That's it, man. I think that's it. I've been to some weddings at churches. Like maybe like 5 weddings in my life. And that's all I got. I'm racking my brain right now. You know what? I've been to a lot of like music recitals for like Kate and Kate's parents at churches. You know what? Now I'm realizing there is one more. So there's a really it's like one of the 2 most important holidays in the Korean calendar. It's called Chuseok. It's basically analogous to like a Korean Thanksgiving. You get together, you eat a huge meal that takes a lot of preparation. Everybody more or less in the country like travels back to wherever their relatives live. It's a big deal. So I went over to Kate's parents' house for Chuseok. This is only like a couple years ago. And it was like, it's not their fault. They were being very accommodating, but it was so awkward for me because like, you know, we like knelt in front of pictures of like Kate's parents who, I don't know, died in like the 1980s maybe. And then they pulled out like a bunch of Bibles and just started like singing. And they were singing in English because like I was there, which they did not have to do because I didn't know any of the songs. So I was just sitting there awkwardly like, I wish I could help. But all do mod, thank you. Thank you for the gifted subs. Appreciate it. Thank you. Sure, why not? It's just kind of uncomfortable for me. It's not, and again, it's their holiday, right? Like I'm not gonna impose. But I was like, don't sing it in English on my behalf. I don't know. I don't believe in this stuff. Come on. Because of those subs, you have to answer if Modest Mouse is overrated or just rated. Well, hold on. Thank you to the Danger Zone as well. Thank you. So the only options are overrated or rated properly. That's tough for me. I don't really know how well they're rated to begin with. I thought most people were on the same page where they like, you know, the stuff they did basically up to good news for people who love bad news is really good, and then after that they fell off. But I guess if you're gonna push me, I would say that they're probably a little overrated, because I really basically do not like anything that they've done since 2006 or 2007. And I know that there's people that like love that, so I would say overrated. But I listen to some Modest Mouse for sure. It's just the older stuff. You know, we've thought about this question before. Like, if Kate confessed the crime to you, would you report it? It would depend on the situation, you know? I wouldn't 100% say no. I wouldn't 100% say yes. But I would probably lean towards no. It depends on what it was, you know? If she, like, hit somebody with the car and was like, I just kind of, like, pushed them into the ditch and then drove off, I would be like, we should really call that one in, because they're gonna find the body. And you're gonna be in way more trouble. That's one you wanna, like, let's just go in together on that one. But if she came home and she was like, you know, check it out, I like shoplifted a DVD or something like that, I'd be like, whoa. I'm not gonna report you, but that's a little out of character. You wanna like talk to somebody about it? A movie night. Hey, can you go back and steal some popcorn? Hey. Tinted Skull, by the way. Oh, they didn't have any comedies you could steal? What if she confessed to capital punishment? No, what if she confessed... I got the bit wrong. What if she confessed to jaywalking? Capital punishment. What if she confessed to capital punishment? Very simple. Jaywalking. Oh, man. We're too late to get into boss rush. I'm a fool. And now I hold the fool, but we don't even need the fool card, because we're just getting out of here anyway. Okay. Saved? Saved. This is from chat, not from me, by the way. I used to shoplift when I was younger. Wasn't that great, to be honest. Look, you make a mistake when you're like 14. You're older now, what do I care? But I am always surprised when people, like, I've heard people say, like, oh, you know, everybody has like a little shoplifting phase. Like, everybody's stolen something once, right? And I'm like, nah. I mean, I stole a grape from the grocery store one time. But apart from that, I mean, and I was like 3, but R key. Yeah, do it. Put them in 25 to life, buddy. No, because I stole it from a priest, so I mean, you gotta quantify the difference, right? Because like, Gabo the Babo, thank you for the gifted subs, thank you. People are saying, like, you never stole anything from a self-checkout. I did, and this wasn't even a self-checkout. This is from, like, the real checkout. One time, this was, like, less than 5 years ago, I just forgot that I had a bunch of stuff on the bottom of my cart, and then just fucking walked out, man. Like, I unloaded the top of the cart onto the belt, and then the bottom of the cart, I just forgot it was there. There was like hard shell taco shells and stuff down there. And I just, you know, I only noticed when I was loading that stuff into the trunk, and I was like, I'm not going back up there. Are you crazy? And then I'll just never go back to that grocery store ever again. But no, at a self-checkout, I've never done, I've never just failed to scan something. But I will say, okay, chat's keeping me honest. I guess, you know, it's a form of theft. When in my first year of university, when I used to get the most expensive sandwich at the canteen, and then when I went up to pay for it, because it was all wrapped up, I would just tell the cashier that it was a hummus sandwich, which is like $3.50, and the actually good sandwiches were like $5. So, and I don't know if you would classify this as theft, but every time I went down, I would also grab like a handful of those like single serving premium plus crackers that were only there for soup. But like, there was no rule at the time that was like, these are only for soup. It was like, you know, here they are. Like, the way I see it, like, if you go into, like, a Starbucks, and maybe they got, like, sugar packets or something there, no matter what you buy, if you want to take a couple of sugar packets, I'm not gonna be upset with you. You know, why should somebody else have the ability to get some sugar packets, and then just because you got green tea, you're, like, screwed, right? Seems pretty unfair. There's some stuff, I mean, everybody has their limit, right? Like, I know that there's probably people in this chat that, like, every time they go to the hotel, they steal towels. That's crazy. Like a towel is, like, a real thing. A sugar pack is, like, you know, it's like 3 cents or something like that. But I will say, the last time my parents were here, every time they went down to the breakfast buffet at their hotel, they took like a little cereal box full of muesli every time to take back to their room, and then they never ended up eating it, so they just gifted me like 16 or 20 single-serving muesli boxes, and I was like, this owns. I don't feel like it's stealing in some situations. If you go into, and I'm being half serious with this take, there's my take on this. I'm being half serious with this. If you're in a place of business where you're paying a fee, and then there's like some discretionary items that are also around, that's part of the game. You and that business are in like a tango together to try to up your margins. You know what or up each other's margins, I should say. Like, if you're at a buffet and you're not hungry, but you keep eating, that's not stealing, right? No one would ever suggest that that's stealing. So what if you go up to the buffet, and right before you're about to leave, you shove a little bit of orange chicken inside of your inside pocket in your jacket, inside of your sport coat. No, I can't go alt path because I'm unlocking Tainted Azazel here. I'm gonna try at least. We're gonna go for that Tainted Azazel get. We do need to leave a trinket though. So what if you put some orange chicken in your pocket or something like that? You know what I mean? I mean, what's the difference between smuggling it out in your pocket and then eating it later, or smuggling it out in your belly? It's the same difference. You know, the restaurant would have it's the same breakage either way. I'm just saying. It's the same thing, like, I mean, if you're at Subway and you, like, use tactics you learned from the art of the deal to convince the worker to put on more olives than they're supposed to put on to one sandwich without having to charge you for extra olives, that's not stealing. They're making a profit on you. You get the, you're trying to claw back as much as you can, you know? When we go to, you know, like get our car's oil changed or something like that, they have, you know, Keurig K-cups and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll be, like, over-caffeinated. I'll have, like, 5 or 6 cups of coffee, because I'm like, you know, you're charging me for this oil change. I know this isn't worth, like, you know, 70 bucks. So I'll just drink, like, a couple of liters of coffee inside your waiting room. That'll show you. I'll show all of you. So that's there's some stealing, and then there's business as well. There's stealing, and then there's business. Business is really just theft with, like, a contract behind it. In many ways, if you don't subject that to any kind of intellectual analysis. I stand by the Premium Plus. I know that they're put there for the soups, but at the same time, just because you order a soup, it means you get some free crackers? Screw you. Maybe I'll get a couple of Premium Plus crackers. I'll put them on my hummus sandwich. Why should the soup eaters get all the privilege, you know? Why shouldn't I take it? They're factored into the price of the soup? I don't know. I would put that theory to the test. I would like to see their itemized financials. Don't do that. I am not the type of guy to not put the cart away. I've talked about shopping cart theory before. I always put my cart back. I will also put back one cart that is on the way that somebody didn't put back. Probably not 2. And I won't go if the parking lot is, like, chock full of, you know, extra carts. I'm not going around to get all of them, but I will do my part, and then I'll also add a +1 increment onto that for anybody else that needs it. But I'm not gonna say I'm a saint that I'm cleaning the parking lot, but I always put mine back. Pardon me. We need a trinket, dude. Dude, where's my trinket? Should just diplopia. Should have done that ages ago. I forgot what else I was talking about. What was I talking about? Oh, cart theory. Yeah, I mean, the movie theater, I've done it at the movie theater too. I think it's a little bit more saintly. I'm not asking for, like, the Nobel Prize in mathematics or whatever. That's a callback, by the way, in case you're confused, because these episodes come out a little different on YouTube. But, like, in the movie theater, like, sometimes you'll be sitting next to people and they'll leave their garbage in their seats. Now and then, I have been known to maybe take my garbage to the garbage can and also take their garbage to the garbage can. I'm not gonna go through the whole, you know, row and pick up everybody's garbage can or everybody's garbage, but, you know, if the people were sitting next to me, then I'll do it. It's too gross for me. Come on. It's like the outside of a soda cup. Now I probably wouldn't do it. But back then, sure, yeah. Don't you, come on, Chad. Over the past, literally, like, this time 2 years ago, I was like, you should wash your hands when you go to the bathroom. People were like, screw you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Now I'm like, yeah, sometimes I'll take a stranger's garbage to the garbage can. They're like, are you insane? Do you want to get the bubonic plague? I mean, the world has changed, to be fair, but, I mean, the movie theaters also aren't open, so It's mostly a hypothetical right now. Let's go. It's a good trinket. It sucks to lose, but let's go. Oh, we need an item room as well. Dude, also, I mean, this is more like rat life anecdotes, but we used to go to trivia night at this bar in university, and like, usually there was like the happy hour crowd was just leaving as the trivia night crowd showed up. Sometimes they'd leave like their nacho plate when they left that had all the stuff they didn't want to eat. And we would just, like, me and my friend would just walk around and be like, yo, look at this. They left like all the olives. And we would just, like, eat handfuls of olives off of their plate. Oh, when they were gone, not, like, while they were coming back. Like, while they were just in the bathroom or something. I did the same thing. Yeah, dude, they're good olives, man. Nothing wrong with those olives. Is that stealing? They were just gonna put them in the compost anyway. What if they tried them, decided they were gross, so they spit them out? I live by a very simple principle when it comes to food. In this sense, if I don't know, it can't hurt me, mostly. Like, I'm sure that there have been situations where I probably ate some messed up stuff from a restaurant. You know, you're not gonna believe me, but like, I treat waiters and waitresses with respect. I'm not in the business of, like, you know, being an a-hole. So I don't think that I would ever give somebody like a vindictive reason to spit in my food or whatever. But I'm sure that, you know, given the amount of restaurant meals that I've eaten stuff that maybe it was messed with, maybe it fell on the ground and they were like, oh, he's already been waiting 15 minutes, just, you know, send it out there anyway. I'm sure it's happened. If they came out and were like, hey, like, you know, your pizza fell on the ground, are you sure you still want to eat that? I'd be like, no, I'm leaving. But if they didn't tell me, I'm like, it's delicious, man. This is the best pizza I've ever eaten. So it's the same with the olives. If they ate them and spit them out, as long as I never find out, then life's good. Now, I wouldn't do it now, but when I was like 19, I was like, dude, olives they're pricey. That's a pricey food. I still don't buy olives. They're expensive. What about hair in your food? I don't know how this works. Let's do it, though. Honestly, like, hair in my food doesn't really bother me. If it looked like somebody had shaved on top of my food, I would be upset. But whenever I see, like, one hair or something, I'm always like, and it's incredible. I just pull the hair off, and I'm like, you know, S happens, man. I can't expect you to have 100% control of like every single one of your 500,000 little hairs up there. Like, that's crazy. I just get over it. What about the feeling of it in your mouth? There's been many times where I like bitten into something and then like there's a hair and I'm grossed out for like, I don't know, like 4 seconds, and then I just go back to eating. Again, not everybody's in the same boat here. I'm not trying to say, like, if you disagree, like, you're wrong. It is kind of gross, but isn't the grossness that I feel is way lower than the amount of deliciousness I get out of the food. If I saw, like, 3 or 4 hairs in the same dish, though, I would be like, I'm not eating this. Like, something went wrong. I found a staple in my curry once. I spit it out and kept eating. I mean, like, I hear you. I've never done that. I would probably at least give the restaurant, like, a call or something like that. But I would probably also eat the rest of the meal, I think. I don't know, just, I'm like, if anything, my brain's so messed up that I think, like, once I had the staple, I would be like, well, I'm super safe now, because there's no way there's 2 staples in this thing. Like, I would feel so protected after that. What are the chances? Who ordered the office supply curry? Oh, that was me? Anyway, I don't get too grossed out by food. Like, food safety stuff, my philosophy is if I don't see it and I don't get sick, then I'm just gonna be real with you. And this is coming from a place of genuine sincerity. If they drop, let's posit a world in which, like, I am omniscient, okay? I would rather, if they drop my food on the ground for a second, I would rather they pick it up and serve me and don't tell me than remake it. I would rather they just brought it out as quickly as possible. Alabaster box. Like, I would rather, and as long as I don't know, like, let's say you put me in the position of not knowing, but I'm making the choice in advance. If you told me it fell on the floor, I would be like, no, please do not serve me that. But if you're like, if you had me fill out like an organ donor card or something like that, and you were like, I give you permission if my food fell on the floor for like less than 3 seconds to just serve it to me, I would sign it. I would, sincerely. I'm being 100% sincere. I'm not saying you have to join me on this bizarre take. Okay, not a soup. A soup, I would like another one. But they already had the soup made, so that, like, I'm talking about something that takes a little bit more time to cook. Also, if it fell on the carpet, no thank you. How do you charge? Oh, it charges on spirit hearts. How about that? Look at that. Charges on spirit hearts. Okay, we don't need the tinted skull. We already have the fool card. In fact, we have it 2 times. How about that? Going in. I kind of operate on the principle that, you know, obviously germs exist, but I think, I mean, it's gonna get me in a little trouble here for sure. I want to preface this by saying that I think that food safety standards are like a good thing, for sure. Like, I think they're great, love them. However, I think if you forced my hand and you said, are they too strict or too lenient? I would probably say that they're a little too strict. The standards that I adhere to in my home kitchen are substantially lower than those in a restaurant, and I don't know if I've ever gotten sick from home cooking. Horrible take? I don't know. I welcome the opposing viewpoint. But you're gonna have to not type so fast. Because I can't read it all. I do agree, it's best to overcorrect. It's better to have standards that are that are stricter than standards that are lenient when it comes to people's health. No question about it. But then there's like, sometimes I'll look through, like, the Vancouver Health Department, whenever they give a citation to a restaurant, it's public information. They release like a report that you can just download that has, like, you know, what was shut down and like why it was shut down. And like, I look at it every couple of months and I'm like, man, I love that place. I had no idea they had a rat infestation and never washed their dishes in warm water. Still, as soon as they reopen, I think I'm ready to go back in. I'll be first in line. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad take. I think it's just like a realistic take. Like I think like most restaurants, like what are you supposed to do about stopping like a rat infestation? They're rats, man. Like they, you know, you live in a city. They show up everywhere. Sometimes they'll just be walking around. There'll be like a rat will like scurry into a bush or something like that. It's just city living, baby. It's true. I appreciate that. I mean, you've seen, they made a whole movie about it. It's called Ratatouille. Maybe you've heard of it. What the? Neptunus? Did Daniel invent this? The heck is Neptunus? It is the first time I've had a planetarium, though. I've lived in a city for 21 years. I've never seen a rat. I was like you once. And you know what my problem was? I was not very perceptive. Okay, if you vibe hard enough, the feelings can't get to you. No rats here? Where do you live where St. Patrick lived? I can't remember. Yeah, why would you take a little walk around at night? That's where I see them, man. Scurrying, and they're scurrying between, like, you know, in the alleys where like restaurants are. I'm not saying like, yo, Poggy, a rat. I'm more just like, you know, I understand it's kind of it's a hard thing to ensure that you have like no rats near your kitchen. You're thinking of snakes. I'd prefer, if possible, to not have snakes in the kitchen. Mostly for the safety of the staff. Yeah, really, most animals I would prefer to not be in the kitchen to begin with. Don't get me wrong, including rats. I'm just saying, you know, it's kind of hard to. I don't know. Maybe I'm like anti-naive. Maybe I'm like I'm too grizzled. I'm like a beat cop from New York in the 1970s. But I'm like, hey, rats, murder. What are you gonna do? There are some things that, like, when I read the health report, I'm like, this is pretty bad. Like when I see sometimes restaurants get shut down and it's like no hot water, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's a bad one. When it's like pest infestation, I'm like, you know, it happens. I guess the way I look at it is like I see so many restaurants get shut down, well, like for like a week, for pest infestations, nice places, cheap places, you know, all neighborhoods, that instead of thinking like, oh man, those must be like bad restaurant owners, the only conclusion I can come to is like all restaurants in the city have rats. And it's just a matter of like whether or not the health department came to visit you that day. That's why, like, there's some times on Kitchen Nightmares where I'm like, oh, come on, Gordon. There's never been a mouse inside of a Gordon Ramsay kitchen? I don't think so. I'd be surprised. Hog? You're paying for a standard, though? I don't know. Like, what percentage of a restaurant's fee is protection from rats existing in the kitchen? I mostly look at it as like an ingredients thing. Yeah, dude, that's the thing. Like, we have a friend who works at the grocery store, and he told us, like, yeah, there's mice in the grocery store, like, now and then. Just happens. They do like mice, you know, evolutionarily, they do a great job of sneaking into things that are food and not getting caught. I've preferred to take the stance, I suppose, that I coexist with the Rodentia. And maybe on a personal level, I think if you're like, I prefer a kitchen without rats in it, I'm like, yeah, but me too, don't get me wrong, but I think you're living in a little bit of a fantasy world. But I wonder what percentage of, like, kitchens have rats in them, and then when the meal comes out, there's like a kid at the table that's like, oh, I can't let the potatoes and the peas touch. That would be a good bit. Where'd the key go? Check it out. Look at it. It's hiding behind the whole the fool card. Look at this. Neptunus gives everyone a fire rate bonus except for Azazel. Ah, I was wondering. Alberta has no rats? That is actually pretty sick. Excuse me, you forgot about, Matthew Kachuk. Oh! He's a hockey player. Got him. Anyway, no, so the red room that you see back there, you can access the Twin Peaks dimension by using the cracked key, but in all likelihood, based on my experience with another similar item in this game, it will be a room with enemies in it, and then you'll have wasted your cracked key in the first place, and you'll be sad. I believe. Dude, we gotta play some Pac-Man after this. I can't believe this is the last Isaac. I always err on the side of, like, too much Isaac instead of too little, because the one time I did, like, I think it was only, like, 2 hours, and I was like, this is not enough, man. Oh, excuse me, excuse me. You unlocked Azazel? Donkey, donkey, donkey. I could never handle rats walking next to me at a restaurant. Okay, I mean, like, that's a different story. I'm not trying to say, like, it's rational. There's a difference for me between logically assuming that the kitchen might have rats in it. Not, like, scampering around, but, you know, like, living in the walls and coming out to steal a little cheese. Maybe cook a couple of meals from time to time. Maybe make a food critic, like, you know, rethink everything he thought about his attitude or something like that. If they were, like, running free in the restaurant, I would be like, we gotta go. And I would probably lower my tip as well. But at first I'd be like, can we get a little box for the rest of this? I'm gonna go ahead and eat the rest of this food in a ratless environment. Yeah, a little box. We're gonna take the rats home with us. That would be a good joke. If you saw a rat in the dining room, you could be like, hey, what's the chef doing out here? Shouldn't you be back in the kitchen? My, bon appetit. My compliments to the chef. Hey. Plus, you gotta hand it to him. She married him for love. She loves money. Whoop. Squam? Squammy? Heavy squam energy, okay. Alright. Yo, Bumbo, he's like next level, man. I can't hit you. I can hit you. Bumbo has obtained flight. Now you're all gonna pay. I will say, though, it is fair to say, like, first off, I've never worked in a restaurant, but it's always easier, like, the burden of proof is different. Like, if you've worked in a restaurant and you have a horror story, that carries a lot of weight in people's minds, right? You can't work at a restaurant and be like, I worked at a restaurant and there were no rats. People would be like, wow, that's a nice restaurant. But if you work at a restaurant and you're like, oh, the chef diarrheaed into the chili, they'd be like, oh, I'm never eating chili anywhere ever again. But I will say, I always enjoy hearing restaurant horror stories, even for places that like I like to visit. I just feel like it makes me a more informed consumer. Like Mathis told me at Applebee's, like everything is cooked in a bag. Like that comes in from like Cisco Food Services or whatever, and it's all microwaved. I've never eaten at Applebee's, but like honestly, that wouldn't stop me. There's got to be something to it if it's still around. But I would, if you have restaurant horror stories, I'd love to hear them. If you can legally share them. Doesn't bother me at all. The Tim Hortons ice caps get poured from a bucket into a machine. You know, so it's not like an iced cappuccino then with like some syrup or something. It's like it comes in a mix that's then poured into like a milkshake machine. By the way, I've been informed. Apparently, I was mistaken, and they no longer use the pink slime for chicken nuggets. They use all white meat now, which I think I learned at one point and then just forgot. I have seen as well, like photos from the Taco Bell kitchen, where like all the beans come in these bags, and it's like dehydrated bean sand that they heat up in like a hot water bath. Honestly, wouldn't stop me. I'm like, I mean, you know what you're getting. You're getting 4 tacos for like $2. Yeah, but it slaps. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've never eaten there, but it wouldn't stop me. Yeah, Bumbo's doing some good work. Yeah, I'm sure there's some gross stuff at, like, lots of restaurants I go to. What's happening? No. I don't know if I've ever had, like, this little herding power. I don't think I've ever seen these attacks. I work at a McDonald's and a dude dunked his balls in the magic shell chocolate. Alright. So, 2 things. He's a menace. He should be in prison. That's unconscionable. Secondly, I wonder what it felt like. I bet it felt kind of cool. Especially when he, like, you know, when it hardened and then he could, like, peel it off. I bet that felt kind of sick. Get toasted. Wouldn't that be weird? Remember when there was that TikTok going around that was like, your testicles are connected to your taste buds, so if you dip your balls in soy sauce, it tastes like soy sauce. And then all the videos, nobody in the videos ever was like, it works. I could never trust them. They would like do it and then they'd be like, what? And I was like, is this the joke? There's no way this works, man. I do not believe that this works. Anyway, let's run some ads and then I'll come back and play an hour of Pacman 99. And by run some ads, I mean, I'm not running ads. Just follow me. We're almost at 420,000